working for Stratus. I don't know if you guys know who is Stratus Videos. They changed their name a few times. They used to have this little bird on their logo. I'm gonna put their logo on this on this video in the end when I finish sharing my experience. So again, I will share a little bit about how it was like to provide services for Stratus and why I decided not to do it anymore, and how they respond. If you watch my previous video, how it's like to work with United Language Group, the situation with United Language Group was, I would say, a little bit more civilized, even though the tactic that they use are not too very intelligent, business-oriented, goal-oriented company that want to have a history and success in what they do. The Stratus person who I interact with, the name is Sandy Robello. I don't know if this is woman or man. I know that I speak with a very, very, very rude lady on the phone before I disconnected, but I'm gonna share my entire experience with you. I started providing services for them in April 2017. I just added as a digital company while I was working already a second year for Cyracom. At this period of time, I was not sure where I want to live. And I was in Denver when I signed a contract with them, but meanwhile I moved to Sevierville, Tennessee, which is near East Coast, whatever, near Gothenburg. You probably know Gothenburg. I had a friend that I just moved there to check it out. I was living in her friend. She was living with her husband or boyfriend, and they allowed me to stay in one of the rooms in the house. And I was providing services for Cyracom and Bulgarian language for Stratus Video. So in this period of time, while I was providing services for Stratus, I live in Sevierville. Then I moved to Bailey, Colorado, which is up in Estes Park. And from there, I moved to Aurora, Colorado. And from there, from Aurora, I was doing my 40 hours of a BTG. That's why I was living in Aurora, because it's the school was there for 1 month in May. And then in June, I moved to Arvada, where I rented actually a house for a long-term contract. And in July, so I work all the month of June, and in July I went to do a training in Canada called TTC. This was the result of it. Yay. So that was one of the most difficult things I did in my life for many reasons. I probably should make a video why. But I was 5 weeks in Canada, and I was waiting for Stratus to pay me, which didn't happen, and I didn't have no money for food. And I traveled from I was in Montreal. I still remember I couldn't buy fries. I was so broke, like I didn't have no money, and it was hard. In this period of time, this lady, Sandy Robello, really attacked me very, very aggressively. But let me tell you my whole experience. I don't want to talk only about the money with them. I want to talk about the entire hiring process. The hiring process was like this: no training, nothing, zero hiring, zero welcoming, terrible. I think Sandy is the person who did that. Very poorly done job. I don't know who is Sandy. I don't know who owns the company. I haven't read nothing about this company since I stopped working for them. I could still see that they're looking for Bulgarian, and I even through third companies, because I could see that sometimes by accident I was checking my emails and I find out that by accident I probably applied, but they never respond to you. So non-responding is also like a bad company behavior. This is not serious people that you want to work with, but this is not why I don't advise you to work for Stratus. If you watch this entire video, let's go for it. Number one, hiring process poor. Why I call their hiring process poor is because, first of all, they don't have anything as how to represent them. Compared to Cyracom, I would say Cyracom they are terribly poor educated people with zero education, zero manners. This is why it's bad to work for Cyracom, and they of course pay you low, but Cyracom at least have a process through hiring. They educate you post-session, pre-session, how to act, I don't like to work for Cyracom, and God helps me that I never work with them again. I don't want to do nothing with this company, but I gotta admit, the truth is that they at least have this frame on how to represent them, okay? Stratus, zero on that, nothing, okay? They tell you the language and they then hire you, and then they start to monitor you. Yes, to monitor you on the things that they never train you for. For example, how to represent them, how to say your post session, how to say your past session. Do you have to say, I will interpret everything you say and keep it confidential, or you have to say only your name and your ID and say, hey, I'm your interpreter? Nothing. But they will monitor you on this. Not only they will monitor you, but they will send you feedback on how well did you do. I will put my feedback right here. You get to see it. It's very, very funny because this is how you understand that the people are lazy, lame. I don't want to say more harsh words. Ugly, I would use also for this lady, Sandy, or if it's a man, I don't know who is that. So I know the lady that talked to me on the phone, play a little girl offended. She has no idea what is business, how to do business, anything like this. I do come from business education. You don't need to have a business education to be polite and educated. So she lack of basic human manners, unfortunately. So the hiring process is ugly, shameful, shame on you. Like, this company do so much money and they don't want to invest 1 hour in telling you how they want you to present them, because in the end of the day, yes, you're a freelance, but you're their face, you build their reputation, and they don't care about it. Seriously, why? You do so much money, you cannot pay some money to this Sandy to get some classes about how to communicate in a polite, respectful way? Okay, this is number one. Number two, the way they throw you on the market, they don't care about you, but they monitor you. And guess what? If you do bad, they will put you down. In my case, was not the case, so it was fine. But let me tell you what I noticed immediately once I started providing services for them. So I had a phone like this, simple device, on which I was providing services for Cyracom. And I had a virtual line, especially because they want you to have a landline, you know. I get a special line on through internet, related to only one internet line on a tablet. It was a phone with a SIM card on a tablet, to the tablet attached, through which I provide services for Stratus. So having the line separate, I was able to see how much I work for them, how many hours, how many minutes. It was just this line separate just for them. I could see when I click on the number, I could see how many calls, how many hours or whatsoever I had with them. So one positive thing, as they say, if you want to make it positive, is that they pay you weekly, every Friday for the week before. At least that was back then, or bi-weekly, I am not sure. I don't want to discuss on that, but I remember that they pay you on Friday, every week or every other week, right? which is nice, right? It's cool to get paid every week. I enjoy that part about them, but here it's what I discovered, and I can put my head anywhere that none of the interpreters that provide services for Stratus notice that. And I will tell you what is that. So what Stratus do is this. I noticed it because the first month, while I was living still here, the first few payments, I noticed that there was a discrepancy between the hours that I work and the hours that I was paid. Let me tell you, once the week is over, Stratus will send you this so-called call report that should include all the calls that you did in the past week. Well, me, poor girl that was in need of money because I was moving to Tennessee and all this, I would write down every time I call the company and how long it lasts every day. I did check this with Cyracom, and I will tell you, Cyracom are precise. They are not lying to you. If you work 1 hour, they will pay you for that. They will not pay you a lot of money, but at least they're honest at this level. Stratus, instead, look what they do. I noticed this immediately when I started working for them. There was a discrepancy on their report. Let's say I had a long call, and I remember these calls because there was with a mental facility clinic, suicidal clinic, where people that have tried to suicide go to this clinic to do different type of therapies. Me, as a person who suffered from suicide ideas for very long of my period of time, working for this line was kind of hard for me. It was hard because it was very heavy topics. It was long calls, very long. When I say long, I mean 2 hours, 45 minutes. What Stratus will do, they will record on their report only the first 10 minutes of this call. And the next 3 hours, they will pretend that you never interpret for. And this thing will persist the entire period that I provide services for them. So in the beginning, the first month, I said, okay, maybe I made mistake. The second month, I said, maybe I made mistake. When I was in Tennessee, I wrote down everything, I monitor everything, and what I discovered, it was like they actually didn't include all the calls that you do in the report. They don't, for some reason. And I addressed this with them. I said, okay, excuse me, guys, I noticed that this month, that much call. So I noticed that every week, 5 to 10 hours of my calls was not on the report. And the first week was between $100 and $200, and this amount increased with time. When I addressed this thing to them, they told me that they're gonna pay it in the next payment period, which is next week. I said, wonderful. The next time that the payment period came, they not only didn't pay the first week that they were missing calls, but they didn't fully pay the calls that I did this same week. Again, because the calls that I provide for them interpreting Bulgarian were not included. Some of them were totally missing from this report, and the long calls were cut. Of course, this is not pleasant thing to discover. It's very, very, very nasty thing to discover. So I address it, and I send them very detailed report about this situation. And they said, oh, this is happening. The telephones, they excuse this with the telephone recording system. And they said that on the next will happen. And I keep sending these reports that should have been paid on the next pay period, but they were not. They were not. And guess what? Sorry about that. Guess what? So this situation clearly started to not be something pleasant to have in mind. And I told them, okay, guys, listen, if you want me to provide 1 or 2 hours a week, free internet. I told them this, I cannot believe how kind I am. I said, if you want me to provide 1 or 2 hours of free interpreting, I am willing to do it. But I want you to be honest with me. I don't understand why you haven't include this in the report. What is the reason? They ignore my emails for a few months. Only once this matter was addressed, they said to me that will be paid on the next pay period, which was not. It never happened. I keep sending these reports that nobody respond to. Nobody addressed the matter at all. They ignore me. They act like I was crazy. And I will tell you, it's kind of hard to fight a big company, you know. It's kind of hard to prove that. I could prove it. I had it on my iPod, but I was like, why I gotta fight for the money that I worked for? I deserve to be paid. You guys get paid for these hours that I interpret. I deserve to be paid as well, and I don't have to fight with you for that. So that was the period in July when I left. So I left for these 5 weeks in Canada, where I was thinking to work from there, but I discovered that due to the rain and the fact that I was in a camp, it was not a good idea to work. I decided it's not wisdom thing to do, so I contact them and I tell them that I'm outside of the country and I'm not gonna work for a few weeks. So they were promising to pay me these calls that I've been addressing. I send them reports, detail, day by this day, this time, this call, how much last. And I show the report that is not included. Nobody addressed this, nobody. I got in Canada, I was very busy with this course, and it was August already. When I was traveling back to USA, my passport was expiring and I had very little money. And as I said, I remember I tried to buy this Putin in Montreal and I didn't have the money. And I tried to talk to them, and this lady, Sandy Robello, attacked me. How dare you? We also work here for a salary. And I said, ma'am, I'm outside of the country. I was counting on this money, and this money never arrived. Well, this money never arrived until nowadays. This lady, Sandy Robello, attacked me in a very ugly manner. Once I was back here, I lose it, because knowing that a company is bullshitting with you April, May, June, July, August, it's 5 months, bullshitting with you and never answering to logical questions. Why these calls are not included in your reports? Why is this happening, guys? What explanation are you gonna tell me? And if they're not included, I already proved to you, I sent you a screenshot of the calls that I've been working. Why haven't you paid me yet? The lady Sandy Robello was very, very, very aggressive with me, nastily aggressive. I still have something here in my throat when I remember this person. It's disgustingly aggressive on the phone. And she tried to shame me and guilt trip me and put me down, but no answer to my question. Not only no answer, these calls, nobody has paid to me nowadays. They only choose the amount of calls they want to register on your so-called call report, and they decide to pay you on base of this, even though I discovered they don't pay you fully the amount that is on their call record. That doesn't include all the calls that you guys fucking do. How is this even, I don't even know how is this even possible. Like, this is worse than the worst. How do you even, don't you feel ashamed to attack me, Miss Robello, on your calls when you never professionally address this matter? How dare you? You should be ashamed of what you do in this company, and I am putting my face here and I am putting my experience here on this matter. Not only, but I will tell you, a year later after I disconnect, this lady continued harassing me with some strange emails. this lady Sandy Robeo. So said that she attacked me and guilt tripped me about my payment, to the point that I was feeling that I had to apologize. Apologize because I noticed that you, maybe Madame Robello, stands behind this job that you purposely omit calls from your reports that you don't pay. Purposely you don't pay to your interpreters the full job they do. I don't see any other reason, or whoever is working in this department of call registers purposely doesn't record them and steal the money. There is no reason for a company to omit the job that interpreter does from the call reports, unless somebody have interest. And what they say, interesa clatifesa, that's what they say in Bulgarian. I'm sorry, it's like proverb that says that the interest is shaking the head of an important man or something. So what they say, what is the reason for which you get so pissed at me addressing this? You clearly are paid for omitting these calls. I don't see any other reason why would be so aggressive toward me. I don't see any other reason why a company wouldn't apologize for this instead of attacking me. So guess what? They omit calls in the report, the long ones for 3-4 hours, which they don't pay you, and they attack you and aggressor you in response of that. When you notice that, of course, and not only, I am happy to provide volunteering, yes, but I am not happy to be taking advantage of someone aggressively attacking me when I notice that you guys omit very long calls from my report in order not to pay me. This is not fun. This is, guys, dumb. I will tell you. This is very unprofessional. So discovering this, Miss Robello shamed me, and she said that she refused to talk. I remember. I am so offended and hurt. Don't you think that I get paid? She tried to even cry. She tried to cry on my call, where I called to apologize for being so sharp. But I said the truth is nobody answered me for months, and I don't understand why. Still nowadays, I don't understand why this company acted like that. But few days before my birthday, I said, after this conversation with Miss Robella, I was already in USA in my home. I felt very bad. You know, I'm a person that I don't like to have conflict. I don't like to have to fight for my money or be in any kind of a I don't want to hurt nobody, right? So I was feeling very sad that I had this conversation that was not so beautiful, on which Sandy Robello tried to shame me and put me down instead of answering my questions. I felt bad for the tones and how she tried to cry. You know, manipulation cry did work on me back then. And I called, and she tried to even guilt trip me more. And I disconnect the phone, and I remember sitting down and thinking, but it's not fair. It's not fair because I did actually work these hours. I didn't like ask you to give me free money. I make you do money out of my work. Why don't you pay me for it? And I sit down and I write an email, and I said that I don't want to work for this type of company. It was about a few days before 8th of August, I remember. It was Friday. It was 7th of August or something. After I got back from Canada, I remember this day that I said to them that I'm not going to provide any services for them. And Miss Sandy decided to fire me. She sent me an email on the 10th of August 2017 telling me that she decided to disconnect the service. And I said, ma'am, thank you for your email, but I already told you a few days ago that I'm not going to provide any services for you. In fact, I haven't logged into your platform and anything. And you know why is that? To which I did not receive any response. And up to nowadays, I have not received any response to why this company does not include your calls, all of your calls in the report. Said that this was my experience with Stratus Video. I don't advise working for them, not because of money, but because of the way they treat you, because of the way they omit calls purposely, I believe at this point, because otherwise I don't see a person to be so emotional, to cry, guilt trip you. How dare you? If somebody notices a discrepancy, normal way, we're so sorry, interpreter, send us report. I did send report many times, to which nobody responded to me. Nothing for months. And if you, Sandy Robello, feel so proud of your job and position, the first thing to do when something like that is happening, to apologize to me, not to attack me because I noticed that you do something that it shouldn't be done. It's to apologize and make it right, and go one by one through this list of calls that I address, dates and time, and check where these calls went. Nothing like this happened. So that was my really shameful experience with Stratus. I don't advise you to work for them, and if you do work for them, I would advise you to check your job, because I can guarantee you that if this happened to me, and the way I was attacked and shamed and guilt trip shows me that happened to many people that work for this organization. This was my experience with them, and this is my reasons why I stopped providing services for them. My questions were never responded. Nobody from this company ever pick up the phone and call me and ask me what type of calls were missing, which day, nothing. I send this detailed, I send them a detailed email. Nobody ever addressed that with me. And nobody ever paid me for these long calls with this clinic for Bulgarian. I was providing Bulgarian for Stratus. So I know most of you doesn't even doubt the company that you provide services for. I do check. As they say, fidarsi bene, non fidarsi meglio. This is Italian proverb that says, trusting is good, but not trusting is better. When you check that somebody is honest and punctual, I did check Cyracom. I will tell you, Cyracom on this matter, every call will be registered, even 30-second one. There would be no problem with that. Stratus, no. I don't advise this company for this that I just shared with you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing. Have a good day. Bye-bye.